I know you're nervous for the Rams, but you got to be a little enthusiastic after being there.
Bro, that game atmosphere was ridiculous. The energy, the electricity. That place was rocking. Anyone was there, and a lot of the Super Buck fans were there too. The Buck.
Tampa Tones. We are joined by Lead Goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron Show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little cleared. But we're joined by Pat
It looks like
Donovan.
Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like we got a little...
No, my camera's broke.
Howdy ho, howdy hey, how the hell is everybody? My camera's not broke, at least I don't think it is, but nonetheless, Tampa Tones, Gene and J-Lo and the rest of the crew here on the Buccateers and Buck What You Heard live on a Thursday cross-platform. Our apologies for not coming at you guys yesterday. Tampa Tones here, a little under the weather, but that's what happens when you sit through 5 quarters of football in Kansas City rain, ladies and gentlemen. That's what happens. You do seem to get a little under the weather. Jonas, I know, my friend, and I feel so bad. I didn't even see it until Tuesday morning because of the rain. I had my phone away. I was meeting
Jonas
up.
did it on purpose. Just FYI.
Yeah, actually, I told Gene, I said, you know what, Gene, before I go to Kansas City, pardon me, I said, before I go to Kansas City, I'm actually going to ignore Jonas. So, no, I'm kidding, Jonas. I very much do so apologize, but I'll make it up to you, my friend, whether it's in person or I give you a nice little Buccateers Buck What You Heard holiday package that we'll talk about here shortly with giveaways coming up, but we'll make it up, Jonas. I swear, wasn't intentional. The rain was there. It was my pop's 60th birthday, so we were meeting up with his buddies. A lot of wheels were just in motion, and we were in a visiting stadium. And if you guys ever been to Arrowhead, it's a terribly located stadium in terms of Uber drop-off and pickup. You literally get dropped off on top of a damn mountain, a mud hill. And
You
then
need to have a car.
Yes, exactly. So, you know, we were in unknown territories, unknown waters, and Jonas, I do apologize. I'll make it up to you. But Gene, how the hell are you doing after Monday's sad loss? I really thought we played well.
You know what? You gotta hold your head up high, man. I didn't expect the Bucs to play as competitive as they did. When you're down, like what would you say, like 70% of your offense is either out for the year or not available?
Your best offensive player in history of your team.
Yeah. But I will say this. I will say this. I was happy with the finished product. I know a lot of people are pissed off about the go for two. We'll talk about that later on in the show. I do have a lot to say about that. So right now, all I can say is if you're a Bucs fan, this has been a fun season for me so far. I have lower expectations, but the games have been competitive. I love the quarterback. Which I haven't been able to say that outside of Tom Brady. We haven't been able to say that going back to Brad Johnson, to be very honest. So I'm happy with where the Bucs are, and let's see if we can see some improvement.
Yeah, I agree with you, Gene, and I think me and you think differently than a lot of people do on the 2-point conversion no-go, but we'll break that down and talk about it in this episode. We have a lot of great familiar friends in the chat. Bud Cannibalist says, howdy, how the hell are you, Bud? We love you, buddy. Hope you're doing well after a tough loss. Jonas, Mr. Everything Bucks, all of the gang is here. Yes, Bud, we're going to hit on that too, because this is getting Watergate bad in terms of officiating. I mean, it's a weekly, gamely, minutely thing. And we're going to dig that into it too. J-Lo, how you doing, buddy, after Monday's tough loss? My friend, are you holding up all right?
I mean, yeah, I was very proud of the effort they showed Monday night. You know, they definitely surprised me how they performed with what they have. You know, there's still a lot of fixing to do on the defense, which we'll get to later. I feel Baker played, out of his mind, just on point, doing what he does best and just the dogfight in him. And then, as far as Bulls goes, we'll get to that later as well. Some fans are being mediocre, but for the most part, not too depressed. Just more excited. Plenty of football left to go, man.
Plenty of football left to go. This kind of sounds similar to last year a little bit, doesn't it? The story that the Bucs are writing here. We're actually in a better spot this year than we are last year, but we'll talk about that and more here in a little bit. Gene and J-Lo, since we're getting a lot of comments on it right now, I don't want to harp on it too long because at the end of the day, the Bucs are doing things to still lose games and beat themselves. But at the end of the day, you could be clear-minded enough where you realize two things could be true at once. A, the Bucs are making some mistakes, and B, the refs are impacting these football games. And I want to point out two games in particular. Against Kansas City, Monday night, you have a clear false start on the Kansas City Chiefs right guard when they were calling a play. The score and play, it was right after the Kelsey play, I believe. But it was one of those plays where Kelsey caught it and got to the one or the following play late in the football game. The Chiefs had a blatant false start on their offensive line, weren't penalized for it. It would have been 2nd and goal around the 11-yard line after the fall. Yes, okay, it happened on the Kelsey play. So it would have been 2nd and goal at about the 11, 12, 13-yard line if they call that false start. Also, they called Tristan Wirfs for a face mask call, and he clearly never came close to grabbing the Chiefs player's face mask. So those are two bad blows, two bad penalties that really disrupted the Bucs. Then let's flash back to Thursday night against the Falcons, where Bucky Irving's neck got yanked in a 360 damn near, and the refs missed the face mask. Let's go back to the game Vikings-Rams just a Thursday or two ago, where they missed a clear face mask on Sam Darnold. Gene, I'll start with you first. Yes, do teams ultimately lose the football game and could do this or that better to equate to a W? Sure, but let's not give the refs a free pass here. They've been awful this year, and to me, it continues to get worse and worse, not only for the Bucs, but around both college and NFL football in general.
I think the refs in general have been shitty, and I think a lot of that has to do with clout, with their name getting out there, because refs were anonymous, and I loved the game when refs were anonymous. You didn't have to know their name. They made a call. That's all you had to know about them, and then you kind of went on with the game. But these dickheads are like dictating these games now, and you're having to associate the name of a shitty ref with the game. And I saw that in the Kansas City Raiders game. I've just been seeing that throughout the year. I think it's a little bit more pronounced this year, just across the league. And I'm not just saying about the Bucs. There are times that the Bucs could have made plays if they had executed properly, and it wouldn't have to put the game in the refs' hands. But what it comes down to me is just the ineptness of these refs. And they're not penalized. The refs they do get a free pass. They're not penalized to the point where, you know what, I really need to think this through if I'm going to make this call. They don't have to worry about that. There's no retaliation or anything for a ref making a trash call that affects a team. It affects their standings in the playoff picture or within just the division. They aren't affected by this at all. They just go into the next game and call some more shitty plays. Excuse my French, but this is where we are right now. I mean, this is I'm just so fed up with it. I want to see competent play calling. If that requires bringing in AI, if that requires bringing in something else outside of the just the refs and pass an eye test, because they can't do that. That's something the NFL needs to address, because you always hear the NFL talking about protecting the shield, protect the shield, protect the shield. And you got players out here that aren't being protected. Bucky Irving could have potentially gotten hurt from that face mask that didn't get called. The tackle on Chris Godwin was, by the law of the NFL, that was a dirty play. That should have been a penalty right there. But these refs are putting players in danger, and it's not just the Bucs, it's across the NFL.
Yeah, it really is, Gene, and you make a lot of tremendous points there, and I pretty much agree with you on everything you just said. Let's get into J-Lo's thoughts before I give mine, and I do want to give a special shout out right now, gentlemen. We're joined from Dubai right now on Facebook. We
Wow.
got a guy
Right.
in Dubai, one of my guys that I met on a cruise ship. That's why I love cruises, because you just meet people from all over the world. But our friend of the program, Bougie Naedu, joins us from Dubai. Bougie Naedu, we thank you for joining us from Dubai. J-Lo, before we get to other comments and topics tonight, and questions from our peeps, thoughts on the officiating and what Gene laid, which I think was a smackdown.
No, I mean, Gene said it well at best. I mean, the officiating has just not been on our side, really, as a Bucs fan standpoint. I mean, so many missed calls. And then, of course, the replay from the Falcons game with the Anton Winfield situation, the fumble, just so many missed calls. I don't know what we got to do. I mean, the NFL made so much money to where they could get some technology involved to kind of help the situation, because they're really just not messing up the game of football right now. Something's got to be done.
Yeah, and
Just real quick, I want to jump in here. The
go for it.
XFL has it right. And you guys, if you guys follow the XFL, if you watch the XFL, you will never get pissed off at the refs, because there is transparency between the refs in New York. They're telling you why they call the plays the way they call them.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with the NFL, there is this shroud of mystery as to why they're calling something the way they're doing it. And again, it needs to come back to whether it's AI, whether you have transparency to restore some credibility to the referees. Because as like I said, this is ridiculous that we have all this technology at our fingertips. You're talking about a multi-billion-dollar company, and you're dealing with screw-up refs that are costing teams games.
And Gene, I agree. And I really think it's ridiculous that different games, I don't care if it's prime time, regular time, every game should have the same camera angles. Every single game. You know what pisses me off? The Bucs against the Falcons get that great Winfield peanut punch on Kyle Pitts at the goal line. The NFL doesn't have a damn camera angle about that. You know what happens Thursday Night Football, since it's prime time? Same thing happens to the Jets last Thursday. Sure as shit, they got a camera angle for that. Every game should have the same angle. And as you are alluding to, Gene, XFL does it right. These refs, New York, got to get on the same page. Look at Major League Baseball now. They just call New York every time, and they oftentimes gather and fix things. And more than not, if you challenge in baseball, you're going to get the call turned around and whatnot. And to me, baseball's trying to evolutionize their game while football's kind of staying pat. You know what they could do with these refs? Give them full-time jobs, give them paydays, and call it a day. You're the National Football League. You have a lot of money. What's going on is they're part-time employees. They don't really care that much, or who the hell knows, maybe some other shady shit. And a lot of bad calls are happening. And it's not only NFL. You watch college, the same stuff is happening. So these guys seriously aren't taking their job serious. No pun intended there. But we got King Cook in the house saying, what up, fellas? What up, Buccaneers Nation? Since we're getting a lot of question on it, like a goal line camera, yes. Are we going for 2 yet, says King Cook?
That should be consistent around the league. There should not, I don't even care if it's like the Bears or the Packers with their old stadium. It should all be the same. Everybody should have that technology at their fingertips to make sure these games are called correctly.
It makes no sense how Thursday Night Football has a camera on the goal line, but we didn't. Why does that matter? Thursday against Sunday.
I don't know. And it's Amazon. Amazon can afford it. They can afford cameras for everybody.
Well, you never know. Maybe soon enough, Sunday Ticket might be AOC on Amazon, NFC on Apple, some games here. But, Gene, we're going to get the cat out of the bag here. Tough topic of debate. A lot of questions are popping up on it from our listeners. King Cook asked about it now. Going for 2 on Monday night. We're going to talk about that right now. We'll start with J-Lo here. J-Lo, thoughts on Todd Bowles surpassing the 2? And I'm pretty sure everybody knows by now, but just in case, if not, if you live under a rock, the Buccaneers had the chance to go for 2 with about 30 seconds left in the fourth quarter. If they go for 1, they tie the game. If they go for 2 and get it, they take the lead. If they go for 2 and miss it, they lose the game. They eventually ended up going for 1, tying the game, sending it into overtime. Chiefs win in overtime on the opening drive. J-Lo, thoughts on going for 2 and not getting it? And do you think that puts Todd Bowles on the hot seat? Maybe not that call exactly, but if those type of decisions continue to be made, do you think that might cost Todd Bowles his job eventually, J-Lo?
Sadly, when you have a team on the ropes, all the momentum, getting that score, they should have went for 2. When you're playing a great team,
Even though the analytics
undefeated,
say otherwise, I'm playing devil's advocate here. Even though the analytics said going for 1 was a smart move, because if you guys didn't know, the Bucs had nearly similar, but 43% chance to win the game by kicking the extra point, only 41.5% chance to win the game if they go for 2 there. So J-Lo, even knowing that, you still think it's a smart call.
yes, because you got to remember the defense was gassed.
Mm-hmm.
They got picked apart all night. That's just the way it is. And I'm not putting it all on Bowles because unfortunately he can only coach what he's got. And Mahomes did what any other quarterback would do is go after the weak link. And that was Josh Hayes picking him apart. And then they ran the ball down our throats because the defense was gassed. I think that would have been the wiser choice. Even if they wouldn't have gotten it, I would have been okay losing by 1 because it shows that this team has some huevos, to go for 2 and go for the W. And Bowles, I think, didn't make the smartest decisions. Do I think he's on the hot seat if the losing keeps continuing and with the game management? Possibly. And remember, Liam Cohen has been calling great plays with what he's got, with no 2 top receivers. He's probably going to be a popular candidate. So the Glazers are going to have to make some tough decisions. But there's so much football left. And I think Bowles, he got it turned around last year and got the winning going. And I think he can do it again. He's just got to be better at making game management decisions. To me, he's a great defensive coordinator, but him being a head coach seems to be taking his toll because now he's doing 2 jobs at once. But we'll see. I mean, maybe he'll adjust, and I think maybe he'll keep his job. But we got to remember, Liam Cohen's going to be a hot name for the head coaching vacancy because how well he's called, the offensive plays. I mean, that's just something to really think about.
Just like Dave Canales was, just like Dirk Cutter was, the Bucs will have a choice to make ultimately. Before I kind of rip in here and attack, I do want to get Gene's statement on it, but I will add in one thing real quickly. Remember, it was just 4-7 a short time ago when we had pitchforks. Well, not me and J-Lo, but a lot of people had pitchforks and torches and everything out for Todd Bowles, ended up winning a playoff game. People had the Bucs finishing in last year in the NFC South. A 3-win Bucs team ended up going on to win a playoff game and damn near going to Detroit, winning that one and getting into the NFC Championship game. Be careful what you wish for is all I'll say before I really get into the grand scheme of things. Gene, your thoughts on Bowles and what he could do to maybe help keep his job?
I don't think he's on a hot seat. I would have done the same thing. And I'm going to tell you why. If you go ahead and take the points and you go into overtime, it concerns me that Patrick Mahomes is a quarterback that can go the length of the field. And you go for 2 and you don't get it, then you're stuck. I mean, I know it's all either way. I could see both sides, but to me, I'd rather take the points, go into overtime, and give my defense a chance to get a 3 and out. That's where my mind was. I understand people are like, oh yeah, go for 2, but I think doesn't that give? I can't remember the scenario, but I think that gives Patrick Mahomes enough time to go down and do what he does.
Would have gave him like 30 seconds still.
Yeah, and that scares me. Patrick Mahomes is somebody that, and you've seen this from him from time in and time out, where he's gone the length of the field in big chunk plays. And so I felt like the team had a better opportunity to get a stop, get him off the field, and get your offense back on the field at that point. So to me, and again, this is just my personal opinion. I'm not a head coach, but I would have liked my chances in overtime.
And King Cook saying, "Come on, don't blame the ref." King Cook, you joined a little late. We said, "Hey, we still mainly blame the Bucs for the loss, but we were just pointing out a couple plays here and there where the refs might have hurt us. That's all." Buccaneer Bruce says, "Hi guys, I was at the game and every Buccaneers fan around me knew the Bucs should have gone for 2." Again, the numbers say otherwise, right? The Bucs had a higher percentage chance to win the football game by kicking the extra point. As Gene alluded to, you do stop him. As J-Lo said, though, the Bucs defense haven't looked good. Here's where I am on it. I'm not pissed about that. What I'm pissed about, and what Bowles should have got criticized for, but since the Bucs scored, it ended up becoming a moot point. He should have never called that timeout with 30 seconds left in the game to stop the clock. He should have let that clock keep going to about the 15, 20-second mark, give Mahomes literally no time back. Because as Gene said, hey, say we get the 2 there. That Chiefs drive is so different then. The Chiefs have the ball with 30 seconds left with Patrick Mahomes, with Travis Kelce, with DeAndre Hopkins, with all these weapons. They're going to force the ball down the damn field to try and win the game. Since the Chiefs knew they had overtime on their hands, they were kind of conceding that last drive as well. Maybe it's because they knew they could beat the Bucs in overtime. Maybe not. Who knows? But at the end of the day, if the Bucs defense does their thing and even just forces a field goal, it gives Baker Mayfield and that offense a chance to win the football game. Todd Bowles had faith in his defense. I know that might not be the smartest of things, but as a defensive head coach, you got to kind of have faith in your unit. And, who's to say he's wrong?
They're pro football players and they play defense. This is their job. This is when this is up to them to go out there and get that 3 and out.
Analytics doesn't necessarily play Bowles as being a coward. Sure, but Gene, you know as well as I, J-Lo should too. If Todd Bowles goes for 2 and doesn't get it,
he's getting roasted.
He's getting roasted either way. And no offense, I love Bucs fans, but it's like everybody's just assumed we wouldn't have roasted him. Who the hell knows? Coaches are in the scenario. If no, Jonas, if we lose to San Fran, no, Bowles is not out. Glazier, there's no reason to fire him 4 and 6 when the playoffs are still at line, and very unlike the Glaziers, as Bucko Bruce said, to fire a coach mid-year. So no, even if the Bucs lose, they're not firing him. What say you, Gene?
No, not at all. Unless he has a total collapse and they don't win another game the rest of the year, it's probably the only scenario I can see where they would let him go.
Richard says, hey, Tampa Bay, saying what's up here from LA. What's up, Richard? You know what is hilarious too, though? Richard says, no risk it, no biscuit. Shout out to Bruce Arians. But who was the head coach at the end of his time that all these fans wanted fired? I think his name rhymes with Toostarians or Cooscarians. Remember that Bruce Arians guy, Gene, that all the fans wanted fired? Now they're claiming for him back. But am I wrong? Didn't fans want Bruce out the door when it was said and done?
Yep, I've seen that. There are people that didn't want him to come here to begin with, believe it or not.
Yep, and King Cook says we all know the Pittsburgh fumble was cap. That was the Vegas. J-Lo, in a minute or less before we move on to some other stuff, thoughts on what Gene and I have talked about the last couple of minutes?
No, I mean, I just think it's silly to even think him getting fired midseason. I think, he's had a very bad luck of the draw with some of the games he's been through this season. But like I mentioned before earlier in the show, we got plenty of football left. And Bulls, I think, can get it turned around after the bye week, no matter what the outcome of the game happens this Sunday.
Yeah, agree with you guys. Will the Brewer is joining us. Howdy ho, howdy hey, how the hell are you? Will King Cook says Pitt's fumble was clear as day. I thought so too. I mean, everyone I was watching the game with did, besides the refs, I guess. So that's something else there. Mahomes 6-0 in overtime. It go for 2. But it was raining out. You're a couple plays away from forcing a punt, or you're a coin flip away from getting the ball first. Who the hell knows? But at the end of the day, Todd Bowles is a guy of integrity, respect, and he's going to do it his way. Again, all I'm saying is the same people who want Todd Bowles gone are the same people who want Bruce Arians back, who are the same people who want Bruce Arians fired. So, it's just one of those things where I guess every coach deserves to be fired. Jonas, you agree with me. I appreciate that. I really do. King Cook, my thing is we can't expect Bowles to do something he has never shown us he would do. Just saying. Exactly. Bowles isn't the type to do that there. So anyways, guys, Jonas says after the bye week, if we lose to the Giants, no, I still don't think Bowles is getting fired. For what Gene, J-Lo, and myself said, I don't think he's getting fired until year's end minimum. Richard says, is Bowles coaching scared? Gene, what say you?
He's coaching not to lose instead of coaching to win. There are times, and we've seen this with other head coaches. We saw this with Dirk Cutter. We saw this with Greg Schiano, and we saw this at times with Raheem Morris, where they're coaching not to lose. And momentum, there are so many intangibles out there as far as a coach goes. Like I said, I get what people are saying. If people are frustrated that the Bucs didn't go for 2, I see that perspective. Again, to me, you've got to travel further, more of a length of the field to in 30 seconds. I just don't like the chances with. I guess I'm kind of contradicting myself here, just thinking about it. But with Patrick Mahomes, he can do a lot in that period of time. I just felt like if we get him in overtime, there's an opportunity for the Bucs to go ahead and go down and drive the field and score.
And yeah, that's the thing people forget. The Chiefs approach at last drive in regulation with 30 seconds left a lot differently if the Bucs are up 1 at that point. But yeah, Gene, you are right. He's coaching not to lose. And that's hard to win football games. But when you lose a couple in a row and you got a team like the Chiefs, I could see why. I'm not giving him excuses. I think you always coach to win, but I could see what his mindset was. I could see what he's thinking. But at the end of the day, we know Bowles, and to me, there were a couple more head scratching moves. I don't think the 2-point conversion was my problem. I think the timeout with 30 seconds left was a problem. He got lucky with that, because the Bucs ended up scoring and that became irrelevant. And again, I think some of the 4th and 2s around the 50-yard line, I would have rather went for those on the 2-point conversion. Or like last week when we did the fake punt, for example, that was really stupid. At that point, keep your offense out there. These are the things to depict Bowles on, in my opinion. Going for 2 or not, again, if the Bucs don't get that, people cry.
And I guess it could be perceived, is he putting any faith in his offensive coordinator to draw up something that'll work? That's another way to look at it too. But
real quick, Gene, Greg Allman also pointed out something very smart the other day. He said the Bucs this is combined going for 2, not only going for 2, but being on the same yard line as going for 2. So either the Bucs with the football on the 2-yard line or going for 2. The Bucs percentage of converting is right around 10 to 12% on the season, either scoring a touchdown from the 2-yard line or getting the 2-point conversion. And that's with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin for a lot of those games, right? So again, just remember, the Bucs have never really succeeded in going for 2 or scoring from the 2-yard line on the season. And now we are down both Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. So carry on, Gene, but just food for thought for those go for 2 people.
Yeah. Again, I like I said, I get people saying that, going for 2, but again, you have another chance with overtime. But with Todd Bowles, we've seen this from him in the past where he's elected to go into overtime, and to me that kind of alludes to he's not 100% behind the offense, or is it he trusts his defense too much? And that's because we know he's a defensive minded coach, and we know that he loves to lean on his defense. Is this one of those times where he's totally trusting his defense to come and bail this team out, despite what he's seen from them all game?
I agree. And before we move on here, because we do have a lot of other stuff to get to and a little bit of time here on the Buccateers, Buck What You Heard cross platform. But here's where the NFL lies. Teams are 23-71 this season on 2-point conversions. That comes out to a 32% success rate for the whole NFL. 17 NFL teams have yet to convert going for 2 all season.
Jesus.
More than half the league. Only 9 teams are converting at 50% or better for going for 2, and 3 haven't even attempted a 2-point conversion yet. So, you could look at a lot of these things and say, oh, he's coaching scared, this or that. Well, pretty much every statistic, every analytic, and I know stats are for losers, quote unquote, Raheem Morris 2010. Analytics I'm not always a huge fan of, but at the end of the day, you could clearly make the case on why Todd Bowles did kick the one. But now, I mean, speaking of Bowles, speaking of coaching, speaking of players, there's clearly a problem with the Bucs right now, or multiple problems, injuries factor in. So we're kind of going to go around right now and say who we think, what we think, coaching, players, injuries, what the hell's happening. What's the biggest problem with the Bucs? Gene, we'll start with you. The biggest problem with the Buccaneers right now is blank.
Pass rush. It just is. Getting pressure on the quarterback. I've been very disappointed in Joe Sharinka. I expected more from him in a contract year. Yaya Diaby, we don't really have a full body of work from him. We just have what he did last year. And I think next year you get a better balance and get a better understanding of what he is. With injuries to Kalijah Cansey, the linebacker play too, drawing up plays to rush the quarterback. There's just a lot of different factors that go into it. But if the pass rush is working, it's going to help your secondary. It's going to help your linebacker room, and we're just not seeing it right now.
Agreed. And the pass rush, that makes defensive backs a hell of a lot better too when you're getting after the quarterback. That allows D-backs to kind of play more of the no risk it, no biscuit, no pun intended. They could go up for the interception more so. Just a lot more plays happen when you're rushing the passer. That's a big Bucs element that's missing right now. Like Gene Shirt, the year where Winfield was able to do the peace sign, we killed Kansas City in that Super Bowl. Why? Because we rushed the hell out of Patrick Mahomes, and we lived in his head. Every single one of the front.
You had at that time a quality linebacker core that could just get it all done. I don't think that Levante David is 100%, and on the other side, they need help. I mean, just that linebacker room needs some milk or something because they're on the struggle bus right now.
Well, we know Todd Bowles has the cookies, so maybe he has the milk too. That was cool of the Bucs press. I will say for Halloween, they gave Bowles the Chips Ahoy. That was a pretty cool thing there. Now I want some Chips Ahoy. J-Lo, biggest problem with the Bucs is blank.
I mean, Gene pretty much nailed it.
Well,
with the pass rush,
say you can't say the pass rush. What's your second biggest problem if you were going to say that?
Honestly, I gotta say Jordan Whitehead. He looks very lost out there in coverage. I don't know what's going on. I'm not sure if it's mental issue or maybe an injury that they're not disclosing. To me, I thought Jordan Whitehead was going to be a strong force with Winfield Jr. You would think he would be helpful in the middle of the coverage, with our linebacking struggling. So to me, Jordan Whitehead, I mean, hopefully, he switches it up and maybe performs better. I feel he's better than he's better than that, how he's been playing. That's one thing I will throw out there, because we all love Jordan Whitehead. I just feel like he's struggling big time right now in coverage.
I agree. And, we could also easily say KJ Britt is part of the problem too, right? Defensively, not covering quite enough, yada, yada, yada. And as much as I love Liam Cohen, don't get me wrong, I think he's an awesome offensive coordinator and going to be a great head coach one day, whether it's the Bucs or not. Since Narab said linebacker, KJ Britt, I do agree with that. Gene said pass rush, J-Lo said Whitehead. They pretty much hit all the big ones on the head, but I'm going to go a little bit outside the box here and not going to put it all on Liam Cohen because the flow of the game, but I'm going to put it on lack of running back rushes. We have a quote-unquote three-headed monster, Rachaad White, Sean Tucker, Bucky Irving, and in our last three games, we have all lost guys. Here are the stat totals. And Monday was a damn monsoon. Rainy as a damn dog out there. Terrible rain. Bucky Irving, 7 carries. Rachaad White, 3 carries. Sean Tucker, 3 carries. That's 13 carries. That's not enough carries for these guys. Especially
Baker Mayfield should not be getting more carries than two of your Sean Tucker and Rachaad White. He should not. There's no way he should be having more touches than either one of those two.
Yes,
it's out there.
Bucky's the one with an injury, and he's the one getting the most. And then you look at the loss before that. Bucky is 9, Rachaad White 6, Sean Tucker only 2. That's 17. That's not nearly enough carries. And then you look at the Ravens-Bucs game to round it out on the 3-game losing streak. Rachaad White 10, Sean Tucker 5, Bucky Irving 9. You did a little bit better job there, but half that reason was because Godwin and Evans went down mid-game, so you truly had no wide receivers to plug in, so you did have to continue running the ball. But for the last 2 games in particular, these running backs ain't getting enough touches. When you look at the Bucs win 51-27 over the Saints, Sean Tucker and Bucky Irving both had 14 carries. So the last 2 games, you're averaging 15 and a half carries a game for the 3 running backs combined. When we beat the Saints, your top 2 backs had 14 carries each. It just doesn't make sense. J-Lo, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, you nailed it with the injury of Bucky Irving battling the toe injury. You would think you would get Sean Tucker more touches to kind of help with that. I mean, to me, Sean Tucker, I think,
and even Rachaad White.
And yeah, Rachaad White has shown some improvement on finding holes and run the ball, and he's a threat, on the pass catching as well. You would think he would utilize Sean Tucker more, maybe doing like the 2 bad stunts of Baker Mayfield to confuse the defense. I mean, I don't know what's holding them back. I mean, I guess they just want to make Baker throw the ball all over the place where they could easily run the ball to help take pressure off Baker.
Couldn't agree more.
And just to kind of go back to Jordan Whitehead, he is dealing with a quad injury, just FYI.
Yeah, he is. But at that point, then maybe tap your, if you're not playing that, I know these guys are warriors. They want to play. I get that. And I can't blame him for that. But it's like, man, he's playing so bad. At least put yourself in a roto or something. It's like, damn. And he started the year great. It was up until that Atlanta game until he got hurt. He was playing tremendous football, and he was a big reason why we were winning games. So I'm not going to blame him necessarily, but if it's a coach, and we're suffering too many damn injuries, man. I think our, hamstrings and quads are probably some of the weakest in the league.
Yeah, the soft tissue injuries around the league are just
Winfield
ridiculous.
With his foot injury.
Yeah. Cleveland me says must.
Winfield too with his foot injury. He
Keep going, J-Lo.
No, my bad. I was just saying, even with Winfield with his foot injury, he hasn't been quite the same like he was last year. That's another thing to look at too, because even he's not playing at his well. I'm not saying at his best, but he's definitely not playing like he was last year. I think the foot injury is definitely causing that a lot. That because some of these coaches are not going to disclose all these injuries, but clearly we're really beat up right now in the defensive field.
Yeah, I agree with you, J-Lo. And Rich says Sterling Shepard getting rushes with end around. If you look at it, Sterling Shepard with his end around, and then usually when we have Bucky Irving and Rachaad White in the game at the same time, those are always very innovative, creative touches. And whenever we do that, we get a lot of yards. And I think Tucker should minimum get 8 touches alone a game. If Tucker's not touching the ball 8 times a game, he was the offensive player of the week in the NFC when I was at that game in New Orleans. He was incredible, on fire.
You know what frustrates me the most about this is why not keep that momentum? Why not keep that momentum? You're going to need your running game against San Francisco. You're going to need to keep punching that defensive line in the mouth. You're going to need to wear them down in order to have some semblance of I don't know what the score is going to be, but at least keep the game balanced and work on that clock management. with a good running game. And I know that what we had been doing was using the pass to set up the run. This is one of those times where the Bucs have to get innovative. You have to use, maybe you need another a 2 tight end set out there or something that will throw the defense off balance with the loss of 2 of your top 2 receivers, just so that you have an opportunity to win the game in the later quarters if it's going that way.
I agree with you, Gene. And, innovate, especially without Godwin and Evans, you should see more 2 or 3 tight end sets, which we have a little bit, but they're not really throwing to the, you should see more innovative rushing plays. You're without your top 2 dogs. Their touches shouldn't go down without Evans and Godwin. Their touches should go up without Evans.
Payne Durham. I would like to see more of Payne Durham something that we're not expecting, something that the defense hasn't game planned for, and you're putting it out there to kind of put them off balance. And that's kind of what you need, to be honest.
Should Bucky be the starter at the moment? You know what I really think the Bucs should do? I think they should start a different running back every damn game, confuse the hell out of defenses. That doesn't mean they're going to lead the way in touches, right? But it would just be a cool thing if you've seen Rachaad White out there once, Bucky out there once, Sean Tucker out there once, and kind of rotate those guys in periodically throughout the game. And people keep forgetting Bucky's toe injury. Well, then give it to Tucker and Rachaad White more. Not saying forget Bucky completely, but my Lord. El Monito, my man Fabricio, joining us on Facebook. Hope you're doing real well this evening, Fabrice. Will Cohen bring the Kentucky Derby package, all running backs on the field at the same time? That would be pretty damn cool. I haven't seen it yet, but I think that'd be really innovative if he did. Speaking of innovative, this week we had to get creative. We had to think a little bit. Our schedule wasn't what it should be. Monday Night Football automatically throws us through a loop, but then I was traveling back from Minnesota and obviously Kansas City. By the way, Minnesota, Kansas City, beautiful towns. So shout out to both Minneapolis and Kansas City, I should say. 2 beautiful cities, great barbecue in Kansas City, great clean town in Minneapolis. Just cool, 2 fun cities, I should say. Shout out to both. I was at Colts.
That Minnesota nice, huh?
Man, I mean, I was there for Sunday Night Football. Their stadium's brand new, so you kind of expect it, but I literally didn't see, any dirt on the ground in the city of Minneapolis at all. It was kind of insane. I mean, especially coming from Chicago, where all you see is garbage on the ground, but neither near or, or there, but yeah, our schedule this week's different. We're live tonight, and then we are going to be back in our traditional time spot Saturday at 9:30 a.m. Central, 10:30 a.m. Eastern. Make sure you join us on the Buccateers Buck What You Heard Saturday morning weekend of football kickoff pregame show. We'll be live with you Saturday, and then we have some holiday giveaways to announce that day as well. We're going to be pooling together a couple of things, plethora of things. Gene, myself, J-Lo, the rest of the guys. We started it last year. We're going to continue our holiday giveaway tradition this year. So be on the lookout as we get more details.
Ho, ho, ho.
Ho, ho, ho. Gene
Speaking of that ho, 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 Marshawn Lattimore is in Washington now.
Yeah, he's on the Yeah,
we'll talk about it later. Fuck him.
But yeah, he, I honestly hate to see him out of the division because he was such a little turd to be going back and forth with. But neither near nor there. But now he's in a playoff setting. But yes, we will be doing holiday giveaways this year. Be on the lookout for what we got, how you could win. Keep up with us at Buccateers, at Buck What You Heard on Twitter. You could keep up with all the info and the latest and greatest. Gene Santa Claus. J-Lo is Superman, and I'm the Holiday Armadillo. If you've seen that Friends episode, remember that was some classic stuff. But Gene Santa, J-Lo Superman, I'm the Holiday Armadillo. Isn't that right? Speaking of fun stuff, can the Bucs get back to fun times and beat San Fran this Sunday with the return of Tom Brady coming to town? Tampa Bay, Champa Bay. The creator of all that is returning to announce the football game Sunday, 1:00 Eastern time. Tom Brady on the call. Gene, can we return to the winning magic with the GOAT back in town?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I did not expect this kind of losing streak from the Buccaneers, just with the level of talent that they have. I feel like the defense is just in some kind of lapse. And I think it's just going to take one game for them to get out of that little rut that they're in. But I do not believe that it's a talent issue. I think it's a motivation issue. And because we've seen these guys go in and stifle teams. They've beaten Washington. They've beaten the Detroit Lions. And they're capable of playing some of your better tier teams. I just want to see more from them doing their job and getting home and just getting after the quarterback. So I have expectations that they will get back to winning.
J-Lo, we'll ask you this one since Gene just answered that, and I agree. I think they will get back to winning, and as Baker and Todd Bowles both said, can't get used to losing. So J-Lo, before we get into this question by Mr. Everything Bucks, thoughts on Brady's return to Tampa, and do you agree with Gene and I that, yeah, they'll get back to winning? San Fran ain't what they were last year, right?
No, they're not. They're bound their own injury issues as well. And let's not forget, last time Brady was commentating in Tampa, we blew out the Eagles and sent them packing. So I can definitely see the Bucks doing maybe not the same beatdown, but definitely competitive, getting a little bit better, more confident on defense. I mean, the offense played so well against Kansas City's so-called one of the, because I believe they're top five. Niners are pretty much up there as well, but I think they are beatable. And the fact that we're at home makes me more confident, to win in front of the fans and get to 500, which I'll be so thankful and happy for. To be at 500 at the bye, I would take it.
Yeah, and Pepin Steppen says OC isn't the problem. I'm not saying it is. We're not saying it is, but we were naming problems, and since linebacker was taken, edge rusher was taken, other things were taken. I just pointed out lack of running back touches may have been a problem. My guys, what's up, Bucks Nation? How the hell you doing? We'll get to this quick before we get to our final couple thoughts. Mr. Everything Buck says, again, can you speak on these Falcons acting like they that team? Gene, thoughts on that? Are the Falcons acting like that team? And if so, what's your thoughts?
Their fan base has always been delusional since we've been in this. You're asking the wrong guy here, because until Tom Brady came in and blessed the NFC South, was shutting down that delusional fan base for multiple years, I'm good with that. And now they're back to their old delusional selves and thinking they've actually won something. All I can say is, they as soon as they get a couple of wins under their belt, they're delusional again. They're back to where they were. And it's just, to me, it's just mind numbing that a fan base that, they have the distinction of that embarrassing loss, Super Bowl loss, and the fact that their trophy case is empty. It just blows my mind how they think that, hey, we're the best in the South, in the NFC South, and that, again, you're talking to the wrong guy, because they just rub me the wrong way than they have since we've moved over from the old division to the new division. They've been my arch enemy, just like the Saints are for the majority of other Bucs fans.
Yeah, and I agree with you. J-Lo, we're going to give you another question quick. King Cook says Tucker ain't getting any burn, though. Could have helped put the Chiefs away. And that's kind of my thing, right? You could have had him involved a little more, put him on ice. But what can you do? J-Lo, quick thoughts in about 20 seconds or less.
Yeah, for the most part, I will say Atlanta, to me, they're pretenders. Their schedule doesn't look that easy. I'm not too stressing out. Whatever. I'll move on from there. As far as the Tucker thing goes, Tucker, I feel like, should get more carries, like I mentioned in the show. Give the guy the ball more, feed him, or not create some packages to help him get into the game by putting Rashad White out a receiver. I mean, you can do so many things. But as far as the Falcons go, they can have the stupid division, whatever. Like I said, Kirk Cousins is going to choke in the first round of the playoffs anyway, like he always does.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Speaking of Falcons, I'm not even going to get into them because I'm not a Falcons guy. And I think Gene and J-Lo summed it up pretty damn good. I forgot, but you guys are going to a home game this year. Yes, I'm going to the Raiders game, actually. So I will be in town the December 7th weekend. Feel free to come on by and say Hi. We'll be right there. Hi. I think she meant hi, friends. Hi, Fran. But maybe that's French. Maybe Olivia
It
can
might
speak
be.
French now. But thanks for joining. Oh, there we go. Now it's right.
Okay.
Bucks make no trades, guys. Gene, thoughts on the Bucks sitting idle at the trade deadline? Would you have liked to see something, or are you cool with them saying, "Hey, let's keep these young pups motoring and see what we got down the stretch"?
There's nothing new, man. I mean, just you got to keep your expectations for the trade deadline to the bottom of the floor or maybe below. And if something happens, you could be pleasantly surprised. But year in, year out, since Jason Light has been the general manager, I haven't looked for it. If it's happened, cool. If it doesn't happen, no big deal. We just keep it moving.
J-Lo, what say you?
I mean, I was hoping for maybe a move at linebacker or corner, but you know what? I'm fine with what we have. I feel like they can flip a switch and get something going. And let's remember we're getting Mike back into the bye week. Maybe not 100% Mike, but it just helps our offense. And then Jamel Dean should be back after the bye week as well, which I feel he'll help contribute and help out McCollum at corner. So I trust Jason Light. He likes his draft picks, so it doesn't surprise me we didn't make any moves.
I agree with you. It doesn't really surprise me. I think if he did think we were an all-in team this year, though, he would have traded for a guy like when we got Steve McClendon the Super Bowl year, put us over the top. So I do think he believes we can make a playoff run, but at the same time, a guy like Jason Light, so successful in the NFL draft, if he doesn't think, hey, we're definitely winning the Super Bowl, then why even waste any capital, save your chips for the draft, and kind of go to war with what you got and see what a lot of these young guys got. Speaking of young guys, there's some old, some young on the injury report. But first, Bucks Nation, I forgot about Bryce Hall and Jamel Dean. Bryce Hall is out for the season, so I would not expect him back anytime soon. Jamel Dean might be back sometime after the bye, but definitely not before the bye. So we're still weeks away at earliest from a Dean return. And yeah, let's just say Bryce Hall is out for the season. We're talking a lot about injuries now, so we'll get into the injury report. Gene, on the Bucs side of things, we'll get into this. Here's how their grocery list on the injury report looks. Ben Bredesen was limited with the shoulder. Long snapper Evan Decker's practicing full with the hamstring, so he could be coming back on Sunday. Mike Evans did not practice with the hamstring. Greg Gaines was limited with a calf. He might return. Will Golston limited with knee and ribs. Bucky Irving limited with the toe and Baker with the toe did not practice, but both of those two are guaranteed playing Sunday, according to Rick Stroud. Jalen McMillan did not practice with a hamstring. J.J. Russell was limited with ribs. Shout out to him. I think he had a pretty good game last week. Sterling Shepard did not practice with a hamstring and a hip. Vita Vea was limited with the hip. And then Jordan Whitehead did not practice with the quad. Gene, that's a laundry list. Kind of give us your thoughts on the Bucs injury report.
Well, it's next man up, and a lot of these players, I know that we will see. We will say Baker will be out there, so we do know that.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably the biggest one. A lot of the other guys, you just kind of have to hobble through until you can get to the bye week, and this is a good opportunity for some of these other guys, younger guys, to come in and make plays. It's your opportunity right now. People have wanted that, and now you've got it. So let's see what they do with their chances. And there's not a whole lot we can do. I think there's a lot of gamesmanship that goes on with the Buccaneers organization at times. So I'm not quite sure what the finished product is going to look like come Sunday, as far as who's going to start or who's going to be playing and who's going to go ahead and sit out. And we're here at Thursday, so I think we would be best served to wait until like maybe Sunday morning to revisit this.
I agree, Gene, or Saturday after Bowles talks.
Right.
Couple of good ones. Did we draft 81? No, that's Ryan Miller. He's actually an undrafted free agent from last year. We follow each other on Twitter. Shout out my guy, Ryan Miller. But he was a tight end at Furman, and then he transitioned to wide receiver, undrafted free agent here. And he's been a good one on the 1 yard line. That was a nice touchdown catch on his behalf. So, yeah, there you go. BB King, That's what we alluded to earlier. Our Bucks practitioners of health. I don't know how we pull so many hamstrings and groins and quads, but damn it, it happens a lot, especially.
It's ebbs and flows, because I remember 2016 there were a lot of injuries. 2013 there were a bunch of injuries.
Mhm.
2011 there were a bunch of injuries, and the Bucks will go through that. And before, I used to think it was the conditioning coach, but soft tissue injuries are just hard to really gauge. And it could be the way you're running. It could be something as simple as your stance. When you're running, there's just a lot of different things that go into it. And we're seeing soft tissue injuries all over the league. Uh, I've got alerts that pop up anytime somebody gets hurt from when I was playing fantasy football. Kind of kept the app on, and like Sunday was crazy. I had gotten like 50 or 60 messages where people are getting injured, and the majority of them were soft tissue injuries. So again, it's a lot of that is it just is are freak accidents. I wouldn't say that it's something that people are trying to go out and injure them. And again, it could be something as simple as changing your stance, or just you just don't know.
Agree completely, Gene. Bucks Nation. Did you guys share your thoughts about Monday's game? We sure did. If you did miss it, this is a good reminder. You can catch a replay on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Facebook, Google Podcast, and so much more. Or feel free to hit the rewind button right now, as we are live on YouTube. So it'll be available, the replay, directly once we're off the air, but feel free to go back and listen to our thoughts, Mr. Bucks Nation. Richard, got to go. Have a great weekend. You too, Richard. Join us on Saturday morning.
Thanks, Richard.
Early for you, but if you're up early enough, feel free. J-Lo, quickly, San Fran injury report. The big ones: Bosa limited. Conley did not practice. Kevin Givens did not practice. Travarius Ward did not practice. Thoughts on that? I'm not really going to go over the limiteds or the fulls on their front, J-Lo.
I say Ward at corner. That one's pretty huge. I know he's dealing with a tragic loss, which is really hard. God bless
A
that man,
Shaq
his
Barrett
family.
type loss. That's just
Yeah.
tragic.
Yes, especially that during the season, that's very hard. But
couldn't
if he
even
plays, he
imagine
plays.
that
If he
before.
does, if he doesn't, he doesn't. Boza being limited, he's he's Nib Boza, man. Dude's a stud. He's a beast. It's gonna be interesting, when it comes to Tristan and Luke Gadecki going up against him. He's definitely gonna be a problem. They're gonna have to really work out some game plans for him.
Before our final word, quickly, let's get to our Thirsty Thursday pick'em. Couple college games, NFL game on the slate. Let's see what we got here for our Thirsty Thursday pick'em. We're each gonna get a different game. Gene, we'll start with the NFL and you. Ravens Bengals tonight. Pretty fun Thursday night game. Ravens are -6. Who you liking tonight, Bengals or Ravens?
I'm taking the Ravens. I don't know. The Ravens kind of have frustrated me, because they played Cleveland. They played Cleveland like I thought the Bucs were going to play the Ravens, and it just didn't work out that way. So I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and go with the Ravens. I just have not seen enough from the Bengals. And then one of the things that concerns me is Joe Mixon is now in Houston, and they just don't have that quality running back that they had.
Yeah, and this, they missed Joe Mixon, and they traded for Khalil Herbert, and that won't make up for the loss of Mixon.
No.
Mixon, every game he's played in this year, he looks like the best running back. And I mean, he's getting over 100 yards, touchdowns galore. Makes you wonder if the Bengals might have used him. He was great there, but he's even better in Houston. So pretty incredible there. But yeah, I think Bengals could easily win this game. I hope the Ravens do, in terms of my betting sakes and my wallet sakes. But wouldn't surprise me one bit to see Joe Burrow put a W in line for the Bengals in this rivalry. J-Lo, we're going to give you Florida Atlantic at East Carolina. Florida Atlantic is +7.5. East Carolina's 4-4. Florida Atlantic's 2-5. East Carolina fired their coach and won 2 in a row. How about that, J-Lo? Who you going with in that one?
I'm going with East Carolina. FAU's a bombshell. And that coach, Tom Herman, he's a butt munch. Can't stand him.
Goalish put him in his place.
Yeah, Pee Wee Herman.
No, seriously, like literally what he did last year to USF, going for the onside kick when you had to win like a jerk off, and then Golish gave him a nice little receipt last week, blowing them out in their house. So, give me East Carolina.
I'll send it home, 8 o'clock Eastern. Tyreek Funderburk, you could see him in the background. His own Appalachian State is at Coastal Carolina. Appalachian State's up to -2.5. Give me App State and the spread. I think Appalachian State covers. I think they win a clean game, high scoring game. Give me App State 36, Coastal Carolina 31. Pepin Steppen says Ravens 27-17, and East Carolina 37-24. Feel free to throw in your App State, Coastal Carolina score as well, Pepin Steppen. But that does it for our Thirsty Thursday pick'em. And now on to our final words of the program here on the Buccateers Buck What You Heard Thirsty Thursday extravaganza cross-platform. Mean Gene Fighting Machine, my friend, my brother, my man. How the hell you feeling? And give us your final words heading into Friday night, my friend. Well, Thursday.
My final words are this. We just experienced probably something that, is very traumatizing for a lot of people, whether it's families, friends, whatever it may be. At the end of the day, we're all Americans, and everybody wants the same thing. Everybody wants to be happy. And I hate that we're in a position where people won't talk to other people because of political stances. To me, I've found great people on all sides of the aisle. And at the end of the day, you guys are my friends. I don't care what your political beliefs are. If we could all come together as friends and, just put all that to the side, that's what sports is supposed to be able to do for us. Allow us to get away from all the craziness on the outside to where we can be with each other on the inside. And I would hope that people could at least look at somebody without looking at their political affiliation and just have that conversation with them. Hey, let's talk about sports, something that's outside of it. But I would love to see us all unite, regardless of what team you are, except for Atlanta and Dallas. Let us all unite and, just kind of come together, man, because there are so many wonderful people out there in the United States, across the world, to be honest. And, I think people are missing out when you handicap yourself by not looking past somebody's political affiliation. And that's just me. That's my word is, try to come together. Just whatever it takes, try to come together.
As Pepin Steppen from Canada's here. And Gene, you make a good point. People on Twitter melting down and wanting to just breathe, hug somebody, you'll be fine. And, every day, my motto is this: every day I could wake up and put on a pair of pants is a great day to be alive. So, whether you're on one.
Just real quick, one more thing. We experienced this with the Hurricanes. There are people from all political affiliations that came together because of a natural disaster, and people were able to help each other. And that's how I know that we as a country could do that if we want to. And that's all I'm saying is just, take a step back, take a deep breath, and you got to look past some things just to see there are really good people out there.
Yeah, nobody's necessarily a bad or evil person just because they voted for somebody. Not all our beliefs, religion, politics, those are sensitive subjects.
And not everybody's supposed to align with everybody else.
Nope, or else this world would be a weird place. Not a knock, but it'd be weird.
Everybody would be like me.
Yeah, everybody would be like Gene, Santa Claus, and the holiday armadillo over here too. So, no, good point though. Whoever the hell you voted for, I just want to high five you at a Bucs game and have a beer with you. That's for damn sure. That me and my coworker talked about. That's why sporting events are so great, because you're cheering, you're high fiving. You're not being a weirdo and melting down about politics. But J-Lo, what say you, brother? Give us your final word before we bounce out.
Just want to piggyback off what Gene said about the whole politics, people hating on each other. I mean, move along, man. I mean, it's over. It's done. Let's try to get along.
No more text messages, thank gosh.
Yeah, please. Enough. Enough is enough. But for the most part, as far as football goes, Bucs fans, just hang tight. We'll see what kind of game we're going to get Sunday. But just remember, not all is lost. Bye week's coming. Players are going to heal. And then come out to the bye week. We should be in great shape, to make another run and all that. And stop bashing at Bulls, man. You need to just root for your coach, man. He's our coach. Have some belief in him. I think he can get something turned around and get better. You can only get better one game at a time. That's what I always tell people. Patience is key. And it could be a lot worse, man. We could be the fucking Saints right now, firing your coach mid-season, trading away your star players. But no, we're still very much in it, and I think we can make a run into getting to the playoffs. You never know.
Yeah, and my final word is just keep your head up, Bucs fans. A lot of season left. A lot of football is left. And politics is done. Yes, I know it'll always be around, but, come together and root for the Bucs and root for us to make the damn playoffs, damn it. We were 4-7 last year, made it. Don't fucking give up. It's too early for that shit.
And God bless America.
Well, God bless you, J-Lo. God bless you too, Gene, and God bless America as a whole. Fire the damn cannons. Go Bucs, go Bucs, go Bucs. God bless you all. Have a great night, everybody. Have a safe Thursday. Enjoy football tonight. You got NFL, you got college, a lot of cool stuff on. So put the politics down, pick the sports up, and enjoy yourselves, everybody. On behalf of Gene, J-Lo, Tampa Tones, Buccateers, Buck what you heard. We're out of here on this Thursday. Fire the damn cannons. K-Dot and touchdown. Bucs win. Peace. Beat down in the Bay this Sunday. I think so. Let's do it. Game on Sunday, man. I know you're nervous for the Rams, but you got to be a little enthusiastic after being there.
Bro, that game atmosphere was ridiculous. The energy, the electricity. I played with Rock, and anyone was there, and a lot of the Super Buck fans were there too.
Tampa Tones. We are joined by lead goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron Show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little clear. But we're joined by Pat
It looks
Donovan.
like Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like we got a little...
No, my